Hello, Leo. Great to have you here. My name is Shona. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like, and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Leo. I'm going to preface this reading before I start. I'm actually having a lot of difficulties with your reading. I feel like the energy is a little bit scattered and it's a little bit hard for me to read, okay? And in particular, it's hard for me to read because I don't know if this energy is coming from, it's like the energy I'm picking up, if it's like from the person that you're dealing with or it's coming out from you. So let me just relay some of the things that I saw and some of the messages that are coming in. And then we'll go from there, okay? So hopefully whichever side resonates with you, then grab onto that, because I was having a really hard time trying to figure out, where's the Leo person fitting in this. First of all, this whole spread, we don't have a single wands card, okay? The wand, the fire energy, it doesn't even exist in this spread. So it's predominantly water, it's predominantly emotions, and it's predominantly security oriented, okay? So I feel like that's why it was really hard for me to pinpoint which side of the coin you're on. So let me talk first about the image that came through. It made me a little bit sad. So the image that I saw was like a black and white. It looks very 1950s, type of a feel to it. And you have this man, he's wearing a suit and he's at a payphone, okay? I don't even know if they have payphone, or he might have had to call like an operator in order for the operator to get him into contact with whoever it is. So he's kind of like at a payphone, he's smoking a cigar, and he's definitely has already dialed somebody's number. And he's listening for the ring, and it's like a very, very loud, echoey, deafening phone ring, okay? And then on the other end, I hear this woman, she's in a kitchen. I hear rustling, and she's in a kitchen. She has children, and she has children running around her, like around her legs, and then just, running around the kitchen. And she picks up the phone, and she goes, hello? And he doesn't respond. It's almost as if he's calling her just to hear her voice, just to, just to be reminded of her voice, just so he doesn't forget, or just to hear her, because I feel like there's a significant space and distance between the two of them. And I feel like, she is definitely somebody that has moved on with her life, that has, possibly a new husband, children in tow. And so her life in this, domesticated scene is very different from his life, where he's possibly still a bachelor in a business suit, smoking a cigar, and, in a more outdoorsy environment. So I just feel like, there's definitely something like that. Like time has passed, people have moved on, changes in life circumstances, but once again there's contact. There's like, this man reaching out to her by telephone, okay? And then there's also let me see. Yeah, there was also another message. I see like an envelope. It's like it's like a letter, okay? It's sealed in an envelope. It has like a sender's address and the return address on the bottom, right? It has the sender's address and, I'm sorry, the recipient's address on the bottom of it. And I just see it shuffled back and forth, and then in the process of getting shuffled back and forth, it was stamped and then re-stamped, and then it just says like return to sender because it's not deliverable, okay? And then the other thing I'm also sensing as well, when I was looking at the man with the phone call and then looking at the letter, that's kind of like shuffle back and forth. I just feel like it was like there needs to be an apology, or there needs to be a conversation that happens between two people. but too much time has passed. Too much time has passed to make it very awkward or very uncomfortable or very like ineffective to drag it up again, to revive a situation or to elicit, you know, some type of a conversation. Okay, so I just feel like too much has been said, damage done almost. Okay, so those are the messages that I'm feeling here. And I feel in general that, you know, this is a very strong like love relationship type of a spread. And I don't do love relationship in your life where something needs to be fixed. And then for others of you, it's like a relationship or a connection with another person who might have been on the periphery of your life, might have been just on the outskirts of your life. And for whatever reason, you know, you had a lot on your plate. You kind of try to move on, or, you know, you had other things that you were on dealing with. But there might have been a sense of guilt, a sense of like discomfort that comes in and kind of like engulfs you whenever you think about this one person that has been on the peripheral, you know, on the outskirts of your life. And I feel like, you know, you do want to fix it. And you're just like, I can't do it right now. I have too many things on my mind. One day I'll fix it. One day I'll fix it. And then before you know it, it's like time has passed, you know. Circumstances might have changed. And it makes that rift. It's almost like, how do I even begin to breach the topic? How do I even begin to, where do I even, you know, intercept, like where do I even come in, where do I even begin, how do we even approach this situation, should I even approach this situation, should I even communicate? So I feel like it's a situation where I just feel like there's a lot of time, there has been a lot of time in passing, a lot of distance, possibly too much has been said, too much has been done. And now it's like, how do we begin the process of mending? Okay, where do we even begin? And so that's what I'm sensing. And I honestly can't tell which side you are on. And so usually in a reading, if I can't tell which side the sign I'm reading for is on, I think of it as a mirror reflection. You both are probably thinking the same thing, okay? And that's like my way of coming to terms with it. Like, you both are probably echoing the same sentiments, feeling the same things, feeling the same way about one another. And I just feel like, you know, it's been very, very difficult for you and the other person to kind of like arrive at a resolution. Okay, so that's the first thing. Um, I'm going to talk about the cards now because I feel like the first image speaks to possibly the first two cards, and then the rest of the images kind of blends in. Okay, so let me just I feel like somebody is there. Somebody is feeling a little bit like on the outs. Okay, maybe left out in the cold. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe there was just like a break in communication or a break in the situation. I just feel like there's a break, and it felt almost like both parties knew it was for the best. That's what it feels like, a parting of the ways, a mutual parting of the ways. But there was also a lot of like unfinished business associated with it. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like something is done, but something is done in a very incomplete manner. Okay, so it feels as if things were not concluded in a way where, you know, it's like getting a piece of scissor and snipping it, breaking it once and for all. It just felt to me like something was complete, but at the same time, it's very incomplete. It's a really weird feeling. I just feel like both parties were just like, I'm glad we're not communicating anymore, but at the same time, we never got the closure. Um, I'm glad I'm not seeing that person anymore, but at the same time, I miss them. And I'm glad that we're not communicating, but at the same time, I want to hear their voice. So I just feel like there's a situation here where it's very confusing. And it has brought so much murkiness and confusion that it was hard for you and the other person to like grab hold of it, to understand it, to make sense of it. And so leaving the connection alone made it easier for you and the other person to go about your day, to go about your business. But then when you're no longer distracted with the daily events, with the things that you had to do in your own life in order to progress, when they're no longer distracted with the things in their life, the nagging, really strong nagging feeling of nostalgia, missing the other person, wanting to kind of like reach a resolution, those feelings start to gnaw at you. And I feel like it's starting to gnaw at the other person as well. And so that's what I'm sensing, okay? It's a very incomplete, but at the same time, complete type of a feeling. And the reason why I say that is both of these cards, okay? Same energies, same color schemes, okay? So we have here the Page of Swords, communication, and the Page of Cups. I usually think of this card as like wanting to make an apology, okay? I feel like somebody wants to kind of speak up. Somebody wants to say, I'm sorry. Somebody wants to reach out. Somebody wants to like extend an offer of friendship, like, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? You know, what have you been up to? Catching up over tea, over coffee, wanting to make some type of a an emotional reconnection. Okay. And then it's like testing the waters and then see where things go. So it's like wanting to, pick up that phone and dial that person's number and just be like, hey, remember me? I know it's been a really long time, but I was just thinking about you and, what are you up to? And then from there, see where the conversation leads. And then from there, if the interests are still stirred up from their side or from your side, then, take it from there. So because of that, I feel like this is a very shy, 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door, bashful type of an energy. And so it leads me to think that you might be looking at somebody that you sort of like, but you're not really, like, you don't know everything there is to know about the other person, so you're not sure. Okay? And then the person that you might be dealing with this Page of Swords energy, this is somebody who's also looking at you. And I feel like you're dealing with somebody who has a little bit more fire under their belt. They're a little bit more bold, a little bit more like direct. And I feel like if you're coming across as very shy, very reserved, hesitant, and kind of indecisive, then they're looking at you as if you might not want to be with them. You might not, hold them up on a pedestal. You might not, it's almost like they're misinterpreting your nonverbal communication as disinterest. Whereas you're trepidatious and you're shy and you're hesitant about making an offer because you kind of need a little bit more encouragement. So that's what I'm sensing. And once again, this energy can be flipped, but I do feel because all the water energy that's showing up in your spread, I do feel that there's a shyness about you that I have never seen in all the other months that I've done readings for you. So I feel like there's a situation here where, it has I'm looking at the crown, okay, it's a flower. So I feel almost like it has the potential to be a budding, blossoming relationship. It never got off the ground. And there's time and there's room and there's definitely an interest from both parties to make this connection thrive, to reconnect. But I feel like both parties are on guard, both parties are hesitant, and both parties are not able to understand each other. There's this I keep seeing this mirroring energy. What happened in the past was this. We have the moon, and then we have the Five of Pentacles. Basically, the moon indicates to me a situation where there's a lot of confusion, okay? It's like, what exactly happened? Why did we stop talking? Why did we have a falling out? And, or I feel like there was a lot of confusion between, what the other person said and how you interpreted things. What you said and how they interpreted things. There was also a lot of confusion regarding, like, how do they feel about me? Why are they behaving this way? And so, the mirroring effect, the moon is all about murky emotions, okay? It's very, very unclear. And I'm drawn to the clouds here in the background. And what I see is murky water, okay? Murky emotions. A lot of hesitation and reservation from both parties, okay? And I feel, it feels to me like one person might have gotten out of like a really serious relationship and was just only dating, and then they weren't like 100% invested, and so the relationship, it was like it was never treated properly. It was never valued. So it could be like a rebound type of a situation where someone got out of a very significant relationship. They weren't ready to date, but they were just looking to have fun. And so I feel like expectations were not clearly discussed between you and another person. And then the next day, no, like the day after, nobody called to follow up. And so it's one of those things where it's like in the back of your mind, you meant to do it, you meant to call, you meant to get in touch. But time has a way of slipping away when we're busy with life. Okay, so I feel like it was one of those situations. And then I also feel like the other person felt very used, felt very left out in the cold. Five of Pentacles, okay? Lack of refuge, lack of support, just felt like very undervalued. And so I feel here there was a situation where one person feels like the other person did something, one person felt left out in the cold by another person. And I just feel like things were taken out of context, things were misunderstood. And this was a situation where a simple phone call, a simple letter, a simple text message, a simple apology, something very, very simple could resolve a lot of that misunderstanding. But for whatever reason, you or the other person just never have the time. Okay, it's not about, and I honestly feel like the two of you were very, very busy, were possibly, busy with a lot of responsibilities, with family, with children, with life in general, and just busy with a lot of important events. And so no one actually made the time to really have this conversation, to send that text, to write that letter, to smooth things out. And so I feel like there's an opportunity coming back around, coming back into the picture so that these things can be fixed. Because I do see you gazing at the past and wondering, I wonder what so-and-so is doing. And then I also feel like they were very, very, very interested in you. I feel like they've turned a little bit cold based on whatever situation transpired between the two of you. Okay? And then when this card came out, the Five of Pentacles, it's basically it's like a full warning. Okay, in life we can never apologize enough. Okay, and I feel like most people don't agree with that. Okay, like only apologize when you're wrong. But I feel like there are so many people that offend others without meaning to. And if there are so many situations where we commit like social faux pas, where we do things or say things or take things out of context, or even say things without thinking about who our audience is, and in the process we're unintentionally offending a lot of people. So I definitely feel like an apology, if it is sincere, it's never belated, and it's never like too late, and it's never, it's like, let's not be stingy with apologies if we feel like we did something wrong. If there's like even a little bit, a tinge, an ounce of maybe I messed up, then it's really important to offer that apology. Because I feel like, um, I do see there's a situation here where somebody feels left out in the cold. Somebody felt neglected. Somebody felt like used, okay? And so if you're dealing with a situation like this, Leos, definitely by all means, month, things are very, very welcome, possibly like the first week, okay? The apology is very welcome. The contact is very welcome. The communication is very, very welcome. So I just feel like this connection, this communication, whatever it is, the wanting to revive it, wanting to progress through the latter half, I do sense that there's a situation here where it's like the deed has been done, okay? And that's when we head into this Five of Pentacles and the Tower energy. And the Five of Pentacles, once again, feeling left out in the cold. There is a situation that's broken. It's like a broken plate, right? I'm drawn to that poem. It's like a children's book. The author did The Giving Tree, and then there's he also has like a collection of poems and illustrations. And one of the poems that jumped out or came to mind was the one where the kid didn't want to do the dishes, and then he says that if you don't want to do the dishes, then pretend that you're breaking them, that you drop them, you have butterfingers, and then if you keep dropping them and breaking them, then your parents won't make you do the dishes anymore. That's what it feels like to me. It's like a broken dish, okay? It's like I feel almost like intentionally intentionally showing or displaying a behavior that you're not good at something, just to avoid having that responsibility put on you. Okay, so like, oh, I don't want to do the dishes, so I'm going to break all the plates so that my parents think I'm bad at doing dishes and they will never assign me that responsibility. Okay, I'm not very good with money, so I'm just going to spend here and there, and then, just tell people I'm bad with money so that I will never have to manage resources. Okay, or like, I'm not good at being a relationship partner. So I'm going to go. So I definitely feel like somebody has a really tough exterior, and they do things that they don't mean. They say things that they don't mean, and they don't realize that they're hurting the people that really care about them. So I feel like there's definitely that energy coming through. It could be coming from their end or your end. And then we have the Tower as well. Both of these things are broken, okay? Broken sandal, or the Tower, a fracture in a foundation, okay? It's sinking into this body of water, and it's also exhibiting symptoms that not only is it sinking, it's kind of leaning to the side, so it's like crashing and breaking, okay? So I feel like there's a situation here where this behavior might permeate through other areas of your life, not just, only in the love relationship department. It might drive away the people that you care about, family, children, friends, colleagues. So I feel like there definitely is some damage control, okay? I also feel like you're dealing with somebody who is like not very comfortable in the realm of emotions, okay? And what I have with this card is I do have Cancer, I do have Aquarius, I do have all the signs, Cancer, Aquarius, Scorpio even. You might be dealing with somebody who's really uncomfortable with expressing how they feel, with public display of affection, with even expressing, vulnerability, expressing tenderness, expressing how much they need you. Okay, so I feel like they might, rather than saying, hey, I really like you to stay. The minute you're like, oh, I need to go home. I have to work tomorrow. The minute you get up to go, they're just like, why are you leaving me? So it's like they might have some abandonment issues, and so whenever they express, they don't know how to express emotions in a healthy way. They don't know how to say like, oh, I'd really like for you to stay. It would mean a lot for me if you stayed. Rather than saying that, they kind of lash out and they're like, oh, you're leaving me already? So I feel like it's somebody who's very, very defensive. And, it can be very difficult dealing with people who are very defensive. And defensive people, even when you come at them with like love and affection, they always perceive it as an attack for whatever reason. And so when you're dealing with people who are very defensive, whether or not you know it, it is always safer to over-explain, okay? It's always safer to say, I have to go because I have to wake up really, really early tomorrow, rather than just saying like, oh, I gotta go. I just need to go. So I feel like there's a situation here where over-explaining might actually be in your best interest, because I feel like there's communication that's not getting through between you and another person. And I mean, because we have a Mercury retrograde where communication is going to break down, communication is going to go awry. So, in order to be preemptively productive with our communication, it's just so much safer to over explain. Okay, it's so much safer. So, when you text that line that, I have to go at this certain amount of time or at this specific time, you might want to put in because I have to, wake up early tomorrow, or I have to do this work project and I have to submit it tomorrow. So I feel like, providing a little bit more context when we communicate, it might actually resolve a lot of potential crises that might, inadvertently creep up during the month of November. And so erring on the side of over explaining rather than under explaining or brushing things off, or the working under the assumption that, oh, the other person should know what I'm talking about or should know what I mean. I feel like we can't really take it for granted this month. Okay, a lot of the signs had the Tower card for this month. And so I feel there's definitely a major shakeup in significant relationships for many signs across the board, not just you, Leos. But I do feel for you, there's definitely a lot of redemption here, because the cards that are coming through are very, very positive, okay? There's a lot of like transformative potential as it relates to, a significant relationship in your life, a significant other, a very important person that you might have been estranged from. Somebody might have felt left out, and and the other person might not have any idea as to what they did, how their actions affected the other person. Sorry, I have to take a sip of water. So what I feel here with this Tower, it's like there's definitely a situation where somebody felt left out in the cold. They felt neglected. They felt used and thrown out. Okay, so keep in mind, this is a perception. This is it's not something that you did, or it's not something the other person did intentionally, but somebody felt like they were used and left out in the cold. And once they embody that energy, oh, that person used me. They kind of perceive all future communication from that person as, oh, they're coming back because they want to use and abuse me again. So they get very defensive. They might become a little bit antagonistic, and that is why, if this reading resonates with you early on, I would urge you to try to fix things, okay? Don't let things escalate. Err on the side of over explaining, err on the side of sending that extra long text if you need to, in order to appease, or in order to kind of like, we're not here to appease anybody, but I do feel like just for the sake of, just for the respect of the human interaction, it's really important to, um, explain and be clear about our intention. Okay, I can't go to the park with you today because I have this last minute work project I need to work on. I know we made plans to go to the movies, but I can't today because it's rainy and I totaled my car. Whatever the situation is, um, err on the side of giving the other person full information, okay, to avoid miscommunication, to avoid this type of situation from escalating. And I definitely feel like this is not just a relationship advice. This is more like in all of your interpersonal dealings and interpersonal communication, because I just feel like that letter shuffled back and forth. Letters mean news, messages, important communication, okay? Official communication, information that is really, really important because somebody took the time to write it down, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, go to the post office to send out this thing. Somebody took the time to do it. So just out of respect for that person and the time, and then you see this letter get shuffled back and forth around, and then the communication or the message never got to the other person, and it was returned to sender. So that's why I feel like there's communication here and contact, but it never went through, okay? I feel as well somebody might be trying to get a hold of you, might have been trying to reach you while you were sleeping. That message came up really strongly. It's a sleeping doe, okay? So it's like while you were sleeping, some key important messages came into the picture. And I feel like, if you felt left out, if you felt like the other person never cared about me, they never reached out, they never inquired as to how I was doing, and then you get defensive, and then you just like turn away and never communicate with them again when their messages start coming through, and then vice versa, somebody feels like left out in the cold. You might have contacted them once and you're just like, oh, they're ignoring me, and then never do it again. I just feel like there's so much room for like messages not being sent, messages returned to sender, messages not delivered, okay? And then phone calls, like somebody placing a call, wanting to speak to the other person but not being able to work up the courage, or somebody like calling and then gets very tongue tied, and then the person on the receiving end thinks like someone is like doing a prank call. So I just feel like this is energy that it's like unnecessary hassle that doesn't need to happen, okay? So make that communication, reach out, because I feel like you want to, okay? This is just like testing the water, okay? I wonder what's up with that person. I wonder what they're up to. I wonder, if they're married. I wonder how many children they have. I wonder, and then the communication just never happens. And then I do see a major change here. We do have the Ace of Cups, okay, and then we have the Star. So I mentioned before that there's huge potential for things turn. It's like a situation turning around, okay, a major turnaround, a major revival, a major like reconciliation that can be had. We have the Ace of Cups, which is like the Holy Grail, okay. This is like the best, one of the best cards in the deck. It's right next to the other best card in the deck, the Star. So a major healing, revival, inspiration, love being re-injected into a situation, okay? So I definitely feel like there was a massive misunderstanding, miscommunication. And it takes very, very little effort. It's just like a nudge in the right direction. Somebody needs to let their pride down. Somebody needs to let the guard down. Somebody needs to just be like, hey, I know you're mad at me, but I just want to make sure you're okay. Okay, like that goes a really long way. It's like, I know you're mad at me. I know I wasn't on my best behavior, but did you get home okay? I just need to check to make sure that you're okay. So if you're looking for an icebreaker, if you're looking for, how do I approach this situation? Maybe you should start right there. Okay? Just like state the facts. Okay, I know we haven't talked in like 5 months, but I was just thinking about you the other day because I saw this thing that reminded me of you. How have you been doing? Or how are you? Or like, I feel like these are just stating the facts is going to open a lot of doors to kind of like revive the situation. Okay, we have here the Ace of Cups and the Star, so this combination, I almost feel like it's a destined type of a relationship. Okay, it's a relationship where you're divinely guided to pursue it, to kind of like dip your hand in that cappuccino, to dip your hand in that water, and to kind of like partake from this, because it's very therapeutic, it's very healing, it is really good for you. And I feel like it teaches us, like, in the process of being with another person and working through issues with another person, it teaches us how to be a better relationship partner. It teaches us how to, open up, how to learn to communicate. So every relationship that we get into, it's preparing us for that ultimate relationship where we can like be completely open and honest and truthful and just considerate of another person that we're dealing with. So I feel like there's a major maturation process. We are going from a Page of Cups to a Knight of Cups. Okay, this is like trepidatious, shy, insecure. And then we're going to this situation where it's like, he's got his armor on. Okay, he's coming in prepared. He's coming into a love situation, and I almost feel like preparing to fight for it, preparing to, not wimp out, preparing to say what's on his mind, preparing, just being very prepared to do whatever it takes in order to make the situation right. For some of you, there might have been like an estranged relationship where somebody felt like you didn't fight for me, you didn't put in the effort, you didn't prove yourself. And I feel like you understand that no, this relationship might be on heading towards, like it might be veering off track, or I didn't put enough effort into this situation, and now I'm ready. I'm ready to fight for it. Okay, and I keep hearing like while you were sleeping, somebody was too busy doing like taking care of their own lives, their own career, their somebody just was just like constantly very, very tired. And they might have taken the relationship for granted. And I feel like the partner is coming in, and it's just like I feel very alone in this relationship, and then I feel like somebody is like ready to really pick up the slack, ready to really fight for this relationship, because they feel like if they don't, the partner might walk out away from this situation and find another person to be with. So I definitely feel here it's like fighting for, it is worth fighting for, it's worth repairing, it's worth fixing, and it's definitely in your hearts of hearts. I definitely feel this situation can be revived, can be fixed, but I feel like whoever was not putting in the effort in the past, or might not have had the time, or might have been like, oh, I'm too busy for all of that. The work is finally being put in, and somebody is really gearing for battle and ready to fight for this relationship, okay? Um, I feel more than anything, Leos, there is an apology here. Either the other person, if they demand an apology, and if there's a semblance of truth in whatever they're saying, if you feel like, you know what, they might have a point, offer that apology, okay? I'm not about fake apologies, but I feel